Howdy, 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 and welcome to episode 10 of the DirtInfo Podcast. Episode 10! I can't even believe it. Our little baby's growing up. It's getting so big. Um, anyway, anyway, on today's show, we're gonna chat Chili Bowl a little bit, and then we're gonna jump in and recap the IMCA Winter Nationals, and then we're gonna go ahead and preview the Ernie Mincy Early Thaw down in Central Arizona, and then we'll go ahead and also preview UMP Florida Speed Weeks starting in Ocala this week. But with that, yeah, I think Chili Bowl. We all watched the Chili Bowl. We all have thoughts on the Chili Bowl. Um, Carter, I think you had made mention that you were the most invested of the three of us on past episodes. So I'll ask you, anything you saw and you want to chat about?
Well, I think me and Julian were probably both invested an equal amount, except he had to miss some of it due to hockey. Um, yeah, I thought the racing was good every day. I mean, that never rubber or anything. Um, but the Saturday was good. The only disappointing part was that late caution with the banner, which I don't think was rigged like people are saying, but I think it was just very bad timing.
Yeah,
But I
that
think if
was
that caution didn't come out, we might have like better than the Tulsa shootout finish with Larson and Bell. But I thought the race was good. I just think that that caution ruined what could have been an unbelievable finish.
yeah, that was definitely not rigged. That was just the worst timing you could possibly have for that yellow because obviously Larson messed up and did the wall ride kind of like board slide thing on the concrete and he was completely sideways and I think Persley was blasting around him. I
Yeah,
don't know if he got a
Percy.
front stretch, but at least 1 and 2, and then the yellow comes out and it was like and I was at hockey, but I was in a Burger King parking lot on the way back home from hockey eating my chicken sandwich. It's like 2 for $5 chicken sandwich. Good deal at Burger King. Sponsors Burger King. But yeah,
Uh,
so I was super disappointing because my hockey team got absolutely thrashed. And I thought the race was really good. It was exciting from what I saw. The wall riding was kind of exciting because they kept messing up. No one really got a perfect lap in. Somebody would kind of step on it up there, and then another guy would gain ground, and somebody would lose it. And then you had Landon Brooks, kind of came out of nowhere, and he was back in, and he passed Persley.
Nowhere. He started on the front row. He didn't come from anywhere but the front row.
He faded though. He went back behind Persley, and then he was kind of out of it, and then
From
he came
second
back
to
around
third.
Persley, and then he looked like he was faster than Larson, and then Persley got him back.
Uh, that was that's my complaint. Is the guys who started 1, 2, 3 basically ran 1, 2, 3 the whole race. There was not a ton of comers or goers up at the front. It was just those three guys, and they did put on good racing for second and third. It was wonderful, but Larson was the class of the field, and it just felt like one of those races. So we've had a bunch of them lately. He just shows up and he kicks everyone's butt, and it's just kind of boring. And that was my takeaway of it. It was just kind of boring.
But Golubic and Bernal both went +5. They finished third and fourth.
They were non-factors for the
They were
win. They
still
were
in
non-factors
+5. It
for the
wasn't
win.
1, 2, 3 though.
We didn't even see it. We just watched the guys trade for second and third the whole time, and then chase first a bunch. And then when it got close, he just runs the banner off the wall real quick. That was helpful.
But it was never like Larson was never like I was never sure. You think Larson was sure of it? I don't think it was sure thing that Larson was gonna win because Persley was running him down. Larson kept messing up. Persley would mess up. It was just that kind of
I
track.
don't know. I felt like one of your points about which was pro for you, which was that no one could ever nail a good lap and they'd gain ground and lose ground, was exactly why I felt like he was going to win. Is because, yeah, for a few laps they get close and then he'd put a lapper between them and get away for a little bit, and it just didn't ever feel like he was really under threat, except for when he missed it way bad and then the caution came out, or the time that he ran over a lapper who self-spun, and we were most concerned that he might have broken that instance, not if someone was going to pass him, but if a lapper was going to take him out. It was like the highest thrill.
I don't know. We just think you're wrong, Josh. But
The first when I watched it with Olga or Sherry, and when it was over, I was just like, man, I hate that he wins everything when he shows up. That was my summation of the Chili Bowl. Like, he's good. I know I'm gonna do old man voice at some point and be like, I watched him race, but like in the moment, I just wish the dirt guys would uh in those big moments put up more of a fight. And I'm sure people are gonna say, oh, he lost to so and so here or there, but on the whole, it feels like he shows up at Knoxville and kicks everyone's butt, and he shows up here and he kicks everyone's butt, and it's just like, ah, I wish our guys.
He's just a dirt guy with a day job, though.
I know, I
That's the
acknowledge
bad
that
part is his
completely, and
trucking company, his cement company. Like, I
I
feel like
know,
That's Larson's day job. He's always a dirt guy.
I know, but this is these guys' day job. That's the point.
He's just
And,
better,
and, and
apparently.
I- it's
I don't.
impressive as hell. It's
I
impressive as
I get what Josh is saying. Like when he's running first, I usually want the guy behind him to win, but like I still want, but at the same time, like if I'm going to a high limit race, it's like, oh, I hope Kyle Larson happens to show up at this high limit race. It's like it's
yeah.
like
Well, it's an
I,
underdog thing. Like, it creates a whole storyline with him being there because you're like, this guy's almost unbeatable. And then if somebody can beat him, it's like they've really done something, in my opinion.
True. I mean, it does put a stamp on in any of those wins that, you not only did you beat everybody, you beat every damn body, but yeah, I guess we don't get enough of those for my liking.
But discounting the main event, I thought the whole of the Chili Bowl, like
Yeah.
whole week was good. I mean, I only ended up missing like a handful of mains when I was at the hockey game because I was up for the P main, where we flipped a
Yeah.
E main hot laps for whatever reason, and then Jack France went on that UK stock car guy, uh, sponsored by Napa UK actually, and he went on a 5 main run and then got ended short. We bent an axle or something. I think he posted on Facebook avoiding a crash, but he could have gotten more. Maybe challenge Chris Carroll's record of 7. But that was awesome. I think all the prelims were awesome.
my
Um,
favorite part of the Chili Bowl is like that 9 a.m. like early mains. Even though you're not going to see any of those guys in about 5 hours, like because I was working, but I had it playing through the van speakers while I was working. So and then as soon as I got home, I flipped it on the TV.
yeah, I was up.
Yeah.
I had my iced coffee made, and I was sitting there on the couch. And I mean, that was I don't know. I love those early runs. You got to see Robert Bell uh, make his run. He jumped the start. I
Yeah,
forget which lane he was in, but he jumped the start and
was I
got to the
think
back row.
was it the one? What was the very first one was P, right? Like the first one to the
Yeah.
days. I think it was the second one after that. I can't do the alphabet
Romaine.
backwards, but yeah, that
I
one.
know, yeah, and you can't spell champion without O main. And I talked to Tyler Shoemaker, who won the O main, I think last year or the year before, on Twitter about that. But that was fun. And then, I mean, there were a bunch of guys that made names for themselves, I think, throughout. Parker Jones from up your way, Carter, Badger Midget guy, I think is second or third going into his third full season in a midget, I believe. He was
Yeah, so
challenging
I know.
something like that.
CJ. He's challenging CJ Leary for third in a prelim night, and then they tangled. I mean, and he was in
Yeah,
a Badger midget.
he
He
would he
wasn't
would have
in like a midget.
he would have been at like the front of a B main, wouldn't he, if he didn't get in that yeah, so he had a very good chance to lock in until I mean he could have still locked in that race, but if like a caution happened that didn't involve him in the
Yeah.
prelim main, but yeah.
I think he was faster than Leary too, which was crazy. I think a lot of the Badger midget guys, Todd Cleaver showed some speed. Brandon
Former
Welty.
modified driver. Todd Cleaver, by the way.
Yeah.
Used to
Yeah.
run IMCA mod at Seymour. I guess he also, I think he used to run trucks like in NASCAR too. So
Yeah, he
he ran a
Turns.
bunch of
I mean,
stuff.
it turns out they actually were running modifieds this weekend as well, too, down in Central Arizona. So, as good a segue as any, I think, maybe to go ahead and get into the meat and potatoes of the deal, guys. Um, so yeah, I think the headliner, right, Ethan Broxma, wins the overall points championship in modifieds. Baka second, and then Brandon Beckendorf came home third. And I believe final night, I'm pretty sure Dylan Thornton won the feature. So um so yeah, that's that's kind of the big news in the IMCA world. I know that we had talked last last episode that Baca was really kind of, I think at that time had won two or ran first and second twice in three features and was really looking to be on a dominant run. And Broxma's consistency, I think, ended up winning out the day. Just looking at some of the feature results, Broxma didn't finish lower than 10th in any feature, whereas Baca, I think, had a 14th and an 18th. So that really looked to just kind of be the difference, that little bit of extra consistency.
Wasn't
Yep.
And then
Oh, go ahead,
I was gonna
Josh.
say it's not. I was gonna say it's not like Baca was very far behind. He lost by 1 point. So
yeah, it was close.
so I it was, and I think Broxma actually finished. I think he had maybe a misremembering here, but I thought he had a worse finish on the last night or something like that. That allowed Baca to get even closer. But yeah, that was never a foregone conclusion. But it was just that was the
No, it
name.
was right down to the end.
Yeah, and
And
that was the same way in sport mods as well.
and I saw Vanderbilt. I think you shared this, Julian. Vanderbilt posted about Beckendorf, and I guess in one of the A mains he had an issue or something, and if that did happen, he would have won the championship. They were saying so. Pretty much, he was one. I don't know if they said what a mishap
Yeah.
while leading one of
Um,
the features. So if that did happen, Beckendorf would have won the
that,
championship.
He was 8 points
and that
back.
yeah, that must have been Friday because it looks here Friday Beckendorf finished 26th. So
So
that last
it was
Friday
probably
on
that night. Yeah.
yeah.
I think there was a
Yeah.
big like pileup that night or something at the front of the field. Because I think Dylan Thornton
Oh,
got beat up in that one too.
yeah. I think I might have seen that on like IMCA Doom Scroll or something.
Oh no, wait!
Those-
I saw that video on IMCA Doom Scroll. I maybe it was Broxma. I can't remember. Somebody was going to pass Beckendorf to the inside and won, and he cut down the track
Oh,
to get under a lot of traffic and didn't know he was there, and then they spun. I think.
it was Friday. Beckendorf on lap 22 was in first, and then whatever you said happened then,
mm.
and it was a 25 lap feature, so he was 3 laps away.
Oh man.
I didn't realize it was
That's
that late in the race either, so that explains why it
yeah.
was like so aggressive. Because I
Yeah.
I
think
don't.
traffic was like 3 wide in front of him or something. He'd been running high, and he cut low. With somebody was already underneath him, so kind of.
There was a
Just,
lot of pileups there, it seemed too. Like in all the, I don't know. I think it's just like not due to track conditions or anything. I think it's just kind of the way it's shaped. Like, especially with the walls there now. Like once a guy seems to wreck, like everyone piles. Like it's not super wide there. I think is part of it too. But yeah, I saw a bunch of clips of pileups in like all the classes. It seemed like.
seems like a big circle almost. At least the front stretch portion is very. I mean, there's not real much straightaway, so you're kind of always turning.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, I know there was some in the stock
Big O.
cars, few pileups in the stock cars, one that involved the leaders in that one. There was a good amount, a lot of leaders getting involved in pileups.
And Carter and I were playing the My Race Pass fantasy deal for. Well, I think Carter missed the
Well,
night.
for some of it.
I played the first week and then I missed a night and then I was like, well, I'm out of it, so I stopped playing. I was leading.
Okay, well, there we go.
I was leading the first week I led.
I I think I said I ended up like 10th.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's what I said.
I think it was like 10th
Yeah.
overall or something like that. But no underdog victory for me, but underdog victory for Dustin. Was it Dustin White, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
Yep.
from Eagle River, Wisconsin. Picked up the sport mod point title by, let's see, 7 points over Caden Woody.
Hmm.
And that we talked previously about Dustin White, and he's not like one of the bigger names you'd hear in the sport mod or the IMCA world. I think he picks up about 3 victories a year or so. Runs mostly at Eagle River on weekdays, and I think he also runs it. Was it 141?
Just yeah, tracks in this area. He pretty much so he's like 3 hours away from like 141, like 3.5. So pretty much in the weekends he drives pretty far to run elsewhere because up in his area it's Eagle River and then like nothing else. I guess he could go over to Michigan at UPIR or Escanaba. I forgot they changed the name, but that's like the only other track on the weekend that he could go to. Or then other than that, he has to come down to the Green Bay area and surrounding tracks. So he's got to go a few hours just to run on a weekend pretty much. So He's got
I think
limited options to run.
Yeah.
it
So I
was
guess
cool to see.
going to Arizona wasn't that big of a deal for him.
He's got to drive far every weekend anyways, so
Yeah.
Hey, it was super impressive though, because out of you look at that list, I know. I mean, I would say I know most of them. Wasn't a name that jumped off. Carter kind of told me a little bit more about him, but I mean, he was consistent, just like Broxma was. I mean, if you look at his stats, he had 7 top tens in 8 events. He picked up a win
Hmm.
too, 3 top
Yeah.
5. So I mean,
Yeah.
really, really consistent. While everybody else is kind of up and down, up and down. He just clicking them off one by
Yeah.
one, picked it up.
Yeah. Looks like he made it kind of tight though on the final night. Looks like White finished 20th, and Woody, who had finished second, finished third. So he finished second in the point settings and third that night. So I don't know exactly how they scored it out, but and it could have been, and it was definitely close. Yeah, and I think you know Woody, to your point, was pretty consistent as well. That's someone I see run up here in my neck of the woods quite a bit. Um, you know, eighth, third, sixth, first, third. So, 5 top tens out of 8. So he ran quite well. And then the other gentleman from my neck of the woods we talked a little bit about last time, Jake Smith finished 7th in the Sport Mod point standings, and he had a couple of top tens in the second week, but no big dubs like the week before. So
one thing
um
about Dustin White, and this isn't a negative towards him, but for some reason, when he goes to tracks not in Wisconsin, besides obviously Eagle River, his home track, but like he had a top 10 at Deer Creek for the Harris Clash, which gets like sport mods from like all the top guys in Iowa and stuff. He had a top 10 there, and then but he had like 2 top 10s in at 141 all year, which I just find interesting. He shows up at Deer Creek, Central Arizona, where there's guys from all over, like top guys, and he wins point championships, runs top 10, and then at 141, which he gets 2 top 10s all year, which I just find surprising. That I guess he's just better at tracks not in northeastern
well,
Wisconsin for whatever reason.
big time players show up in big time games.
That is true.
And that's
He had a second at Clay County in Iowa too and there was 101 sport mods there. I mean, there was 4 features that night, but it was a 25,000 to win sport mod show at Clay County, and he had he ran second on a prelim night. So
yeah, big
Hey,
time
well,
players show up in big time games. I don't know what else to tell you. A regular season game at 141, that that's just a 3-hour drive. That's a normal Saturday. Like when we get into the 8, 9-hour drives, now it's time to knuckle up, right? We're here to make some money.
he
And
just
that's
needs
what it
to
feels like Dustin
he
White
just needs
does.
to make his whole schedule Eagle River Speedway, and then every B mod show that pays like good or just gets a bunch of good cars.
Heck
I
yeah.
mean, that could be a shot in the arm for him, though. I mean, you go down
Yeah.
there and win something like that, pick up a
Oh
win
yeah,
down
he's
there.
gonna have a lot of
But
confidence going into like this season in the Midwest now too. So
Yeah. Yeah.
look what happened to Charles Vaca last year. I mean, he won the Winter Nationals and then took that to a
Mhm.
title. I mean, got
Yeah.
in.
So, are you
I mean,
predicting Dustin White's going to be the IMCA Sport Mod national champion this year?
maybe I am.
Problem is, this
I
weekly
think
track
you
isn't
Hey,
are.
sanctioned, so
he's gonna win more. He's gonna win more than 3 that he won last year. I mean, he's already a third of the way there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say he's gonna win it at least double it. I'm gonna say at least 6. I don't
Fair
know who
enough.
runs.
Fair enough.
he won 4 last year, by the way.
Oh,
All right. Well,
well,
that's
But
a
close.
I think
33% increase.
he's already got 1 out
50%
of
increase.
4. I could see him going like over 5 for sure. And
All
I
right.
don't
I'm
know if
gonna
he's
do
got
it.
a new car or not, but he's got BHE and a GRT chassis, which I don't know if that's what he had before, but whatever. If he didn't, he's very fast in a new car. But I don't know if
You
it's
know
new or
who
not.
did have a new chassis though?
Who's
Shelby Williams. And he won another
You
race down
did.
there. He's third in the new car that we talked about last week. And he also won the points
Yeah.
championship by more than any of the other divisions. It was 32 points back to Chase Berkeley. So that wasn't even close.
Oh, gap the field as compared to everyone else.
I know. Yeah,
Blew the doors off of him. And he won it in a walk-off, right? He wins the final race in a walk-off to clinch the points title, win the final race. Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
and then
And
he's
he had a
gonna
couple of
be
thirds the nights before.
he'll be down in my neck of the woods not too long for the IMCA Clash on the Coast. So
Right on.
we'll have a chance to add another winter title, and I'll probably see him
Yeah.
at least 1 or 2 nights over there. So
And you can meet him and have a story like Josh always does.
I
For
will.
once. You got to
I just
talk
want to
to
know
him,
what he looks
Julian.
like though,
You got
instead
to
of like
talk to
Carlos
him.
Amata.
He can't be a head nod gang. All right, we need to have an exchange. All right, you got to say hi at minimum. All right, I'm asking for a hello.
So in March, we're gonna have at least one episode where I tell like a 25-minute Shelby Williams story about how I stood there and looked at the track with him.
Perfect. We're here for it. We are here for it. But interestingly enough, both Dustin White and Ethan Broxma and Shelby Williams, I believe, all have the chance to win another miniseries title. Because we've got the Ernie Mincy Classic starting here at Central Arizona again. And I believe the classes we have running in that are WhoaNelly late models, IMCA mods, WhoaNelly super stocks. Julian, I know you love yourself some WhoaNelly super stocks. IMCA stock cars, IMCA sport mods, and then they've got sort of this B mod division or X mod division. It looks like Midwest mods, B mods, X mods, going
Pretty
as
much
well.
any B mod that isn't an IMCA sport mod. That's pretty much
Like
what that is.
Votto. It's
Yeah.
like Votto, I believe. It's like X mods.
Yeah, yeah,
And speaking of,
yeah.
Scott
That's
Smith is going there, so he'll be running 2 different series too.
yeah. Oh, Wild West and now this as
Yeah.
well. That's what you're saying. Yep. So his second miniseries. I don't know that we have a ton of confirmation who's staying or going from Winter Nationals to now. We did do our best to kind of sleuth around though and pick out what we could figure out. And we think Baca's there, Jerry Filippo, who was at the
Flippo.
IMC Winter Nationals. Filippo, right? Filippo, right?
Yeah, you said it's FLI. You said like FIL. You said Filippo.
Oh, oh, I even tried to nail that one. I even tried to do the flippo. All right, there we go. We
Broxma, I think, is
yep,
staying too. So he's obviously won the title. I don't know about the other two that won titles, but Broxma looks like is staying.
Yeah, I
yeah.
don't
Hopefully
know
they
about
stay.
White, or I don't know if Shelby Williams is staying, honestly.
Yeah, and I mean, that's all right. I'm just sort of posing the question. We know that they're running the same class there, so something to look forward to till we get a little bit more confirmation. I think that gets fired up here in a couple of days on a Thursday. It looks like, I believe Thursday the 23rd, if I can read a calendar correctly.
Um,
Yes, I can.
Based off
As
Shelby
a
Williams' Facebook, it says up next is the Clash on the Coast. So it
okay,
doesn't seem
oh,
like they're staying.
bummer.
I mean, that's another
Um,
2 weeks. He was already down there in Arizona for 2 weeks. So I don't, some of these guys need to go
gotta
back
make
to
a
work or
note out of
whatever.
it. No, absolutely. No, but I just taking a look kind of at this event last year. It looks like we had 20-ish stock cars in the field, 25-ish sport mods, 40-ish modifieds, 35-ish late models, and then about 20 B mods as well. So, I mean, a little bit down from the Winter National. So to be expected that some people will leave. We expect some people will cycle back in. Um, I'm obviously very happy to see Tom Berry Jr. is going to be there. Um, uh, guy I tend to like more than most, I guess. Um, so so I like that he'll be there. Um, yeah, and then I think Dexton Cook I saw is going to be there in a super stock. So like, might as well just cut the check. No, he
I'm
was very good in a super stock last year, Minnesota national champion.
I am curious to see how many super stocks they get down there because obviously there is not a single WhoaNelly super stock track anywhere near Arizona. They're all in the Dakotas, Minnesota, Wisconsin area. So I'm curious how many from the WhoaNelly regional will travel down there.
I feel like they wouldn't have them on the schedule though unless they were down there.
Yeah, if there
Unless
was like
somebody
three,
agreed to go.
yeah, if
I
there
feel
was
like
like
to me
three
it's like
committed, I don't think they'd bother having them.
I mean it's like when they run big blocks down in Florida. I mean, obviously they know some guys are gonna go run there because no one remotely close runs a big block modified, so they have to have at least some drivers confirmed to go race there. So
Yeah, and
I
maybe
would
there's
think
gonna be
so.
more than we expect.
I think even for the drivers, it would suck if a guy drove all the way down there. It's like I got two other guys to race against. Like, I mean, unless they're paying the full payout, then I guess you can make a little bit of money.
Yeah. Well,
I
I mean,
mean,
the show is Don Shaw is connected to this show. It may be a show he promotes. I know that I-94 it sponsors the Ernie Mincy or Earl Mincy. I'm sorry, Earl Mincy. I think I could be
Ernie
saying it.
Mincy Early Thaw.
Ernie Mincy. I have it written down wrong here. But uh, so you got to think he at least has a decent enough gauge on being able to get enough of them down there for a show. I mean, 20-ish would be all right. I think between the three of us, we sleuthed out a handful of names: Max Nelson, Dexton Cook, Hankenmeyer, Alan Cleveland. So, I mean, it seems like people are going, at least a handful. So I think it should work out pretty good. Um, but yeah, I think Zach Johnson is going to be down there in a late model, I believe. Amelia and Layla Eisenschenk. I apologize. I believe they'll both be down there in late models. I suspect on Shaw. We saw Dylan Thornton as well.
Ricky Weiss.
Ricky Weiss. Yep.
maybe some more of the guys that we saw at the Wild West Shootout as well. Maybe like a Kent Roseveare.
Yeah.
Could be. Could definitely. Yeah, I saw some of the Oregon guys at this event last year, like Weinbarger and stuff. So, possible.
Well,
The
Weinberger was
Whistlers.
he was actually showed up to the last few the Winter Nationals events in a modified.
Maybe
he
I
does
had
run
his late
IMCA
model with
modified.
them too.
Yeah,
Yep, very well
I
could
think
have.
it just needs like a restrictor or something on it to race.
Yeah,
He might just run that.
yeah, I think that I did see that they said opens could run. I had just assumed there was some sort of restrictor that they would have to put on it. So, um, hopefully that draws some more late models to the party as well. I mean, there was a fair bit of people from around the area or people who traveled down to the Wild West Shootout to run. So maybe they can grab some of those guys as well. So, but other than that, I think the sort of the bigger modified headline, if you will, is the UMP Florida Speed Weeks. We kicking off at Ocala on Tuesday, which is
Yep.
technically tomorrow, or
Practicing right
tomorrow
now
in real
for
life.
us.
Yeah, yeah, tomorrow in real life for us, but actually yesterday in podcast world. So, um, but yeah. So and that's in conjunction with two shows at Volusia. So they run Ocala kind of most of this week, and then they run Volusia the weekend after, and then they run, I think, almost the entire week at Volusia the
Yeah,
third
it's like
week.
that whole week, I think, with the World of Outlaw Sprint cars.
Yeah.
And I know this is going to be a day late in podcast time, but we have some breaking news from Ocala right now because they're actually practicing as we record this. Missing Data, which is most of the field practicing, has been renamed to Missing Data UMP, so we can figure out who's in a UMP modified and who's in one of the street stocks.
Oh, good.
So that's
So we at
exciting
least
news.
know. Yeah, we can tell the difference between street stocks and mods now. Wonderful. But they're all missing some data. But we did do some research on who we thought might be at some or all of this. Um, Julian, you said there was a warm-up race, I believe, this past weekend. So who won that and where was that? Fill us in on that one real quick.
Yeah, so that was Hendry County, which is actually the farthest south dirt track in the U.S. That's way down there in Florida. And so they had 2K to win UMP modifieds, and Devin Dixon picked up that win over Ray Bollinger. So there's a name that we do know is going to Ocala and Volusia.
Yeah.
Because there's no way he's driving down all the way down from Illinois to run one show at Hendry County. So yeah, he was there and he ran second. I believe he charged through the field. I think he was like plus 10 or something. I could be wrong. I don't really
Plus
remember.
double
I just had a
digits is
poke
good
on.
enough.
I didn't even know that race was happening, to be honest, until I'm habitually on my race pass looking at
Yeah.
results, and so I just happened to see that, and
That's why we
There,
rely on you to know all the one-off and random things.
there was also Greg Bellia from Ontario was down there, so I don't think he was another one that was making a drive to the further south dirt track for one weekend.
For one weekend. Probably not.
He
I think
runs
I saw Zeke.
all over the
It
place.
could
I
be a
never
bug in
realized
this
this.
thing. He could be like, you know what, I want to run there.
Yeah, and then
But
Yeah.
head back home, drive like 30 hours.
hey, but he has been in Volusia for like years now, I
Yeah.
believe. So obviously he's going there. But
No, I think I saw Zeke McKenzie and Brian DeYoung were also going to be at Ocala for sure. Um, I don't know. I think a lot of the folks we saw were unsure how much of it, and some may just go to Volusia for that weekend, and then that third weekend just kind of run the broader stretch. But I suspect Julian, you had mentioned Chase Holland
yeah, I saw
was
that
going to
he's
be
going
there.
that way. I would assume Holland's probably going to run the whole thing. I would assume.
Yeah, and they
Um,
did
Todd
make mention that they wanted
Beeheiser
to be
is
in a.
actually the quickest in practice right now.
Mhm.
So he'll be there. Rob Fuquay, I believe Rob Fuquay is from Illinois. Um, he's there.
Yeah.
Um,
I think we
there
saw
was,
Lucas Lee and Tyler Nicely's two of the bigger names to keep an eye on. Tyler Nicely obviously won Gateway, and I think Lucas Lee was right in the thick of Speed Week's title last year.
Did he win
May have
the 5,000 at East Bay? Because this Ocala race was obviously at East Bay last year. Did he win that?
was
Or did he
that the
win?
yes,
Drake Troutman Lucas Lee kerfuffle, or was that 2 years ago that happened? I
I can
can't
pull it up
recall.
I
real
feel like that was
fast.
2 years ago.
Anyway, that
I
might have
thought
been
it
two
was
years
Trout
ago.
last year.
Oh, and I got it
Oh,
right here. Let's find out. He did win it.
Oh, Lucas Lee.
Lucas Lee did.
Okay.
Okay, yeah,
Strickler
yeah. So
second,
he'll be
and
the.
another guy that's going there, Cole Charneski, was third in that race. So he's heading there from
Yeah,
Arizona straight to Ocala, and then plans to be down there for sure Ocala, and I'd assume the whole thing, just like last year.
do the
So
whole thing.
Hey, and Devin Dixon
Yeah.
was seventh in that finale race too at East Bay. So um, yeah, he's obviously no slouch and maybe a guy that could pick up a few victories there. I'm not honestly not
Mhm.
100% sure if he has. Well, I've heard his name before and he's definitely won some races. I don't know if he's won any on this kind of mini series, but obviously one to watch too. More the
I
local
was
guy.
looking to, so East Bay last year had around like 70-ish cars. So I don't know if the track change will hurt the car count at all, but I assume it'll be at least 50. I'd have to assume if they had 70 at East. Although with it being the last year too, that could have also boosted the car count at East
Yeah,
Bay. But
I
I'm
mean,
sure they'll get 50 at least, I'd assume, at Ocala.
I'd figure.
and I would assume Josh would have news about this, but Ryan Gerke was at East Bay last year. Is Ryan Gerke going to Ocala this year, Josh?
You know, I genuinely didn't look, so we can take a quick peek
Doesn't he race
though.
at your local track too?
He sometimes races at my local track.
I saw him win
His
at your
home
local
track is
track.
not. You have seen him win at my local track. Um, no, I don't see any indication that he would be heading down there. But that's not to say he won't. But as of now, in my most recent Facebook check, I don't think he's headed that direction.
Well,
Uh,
other than giving you shit for that, my point was that I guess that's one of those guys that maybe went down for
yeah,
a last race at East Bay before it closed
yeah,
down. So you might
yeah,
lose a few of
yeah.
those guys. But I mean, it's a lot of racing. You'll probably have some guys that are going to come and go too that maybe
Oh
can't run
yeah,
the whole thing.
yeah. Like I mean, I fingers crossed we're gonna see Strickler at some point there. I figure he'll probably show up at Volusia. He likes to win Gators at Volusia, so he'll probably be there. Um, I think Kenny Wallace, Justin Allgaier are gonna show up for some portion of this, probably at Volusia as well.
Matt.
Um, so Matt Crafton, yeah.
They had
Potentially Taylor Cool. I don't know.
last year, Volusia had like 105-ish mods. So
Yeah,
obviously we'll get
yeah, and
a jump from Ocala to Volusia. We'll get more cars. I mean, they always have a shit ton of mods at that Volusia race. So I'm sure the sprint car fans will love it.
yeah. I'm sure it's ambulance for them. But yeah. So, um, Yeah, that'll be fun to check in on next week. I think it more heats up. I think for us once they get to Volusia, but we'll keep an eye on this Ocala stuff. Random question, and honestly, I didn't bother to look. Is any of the stuff on from Ocala
The whole
on
week
Dirt
is on
Vision, or is it
all Ocala. Ocala's on Flow the whole week,
okay?
so
Okay, so
I'll be watching that.
we can watch that. We can watch that and actually bring a little bit more to the table. So that's kind of cool. Right
And
on.
Ocala
I'm
has
excited
a
about that.
my one of my favorite support classes, Street Stocks, which I am honestly more excited to watch than the mods at Ocala. So
They'll probably get a lot
That's
of those too. I don't know, like for sure, but I see some guys that from out in like Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama that are already down there. So I'm assuming they're running like the Crate Racing USA rules. I don't know for sure, but they're running
probably
it.
it's
yeah. Street stocks are street stocks. They're running street stocks and Carter's pumped.
And there's no, I
But
mean, there's no conflicts for at least the next couple days with the modifieds to watch anything. But the World of Outlaws do kick off this week at Volusia as well. So I
yeah.
mean, we're really
Yeah.
getting our speed weeks now in racing.
Yeah. Yeah. Jake Timm starts his rookie of the year campaign this weekend.
Do you think he beats Ethan Dotson for the Rookie of the Year?
I just said he starts his rookie of the year campaign this weekend. Of course I think that. I don't hear any objections, so
who
obviously I
I think
must be
Dotson wins it.
right.
I don't even know who's the other rookies besides Dotson and Timm.
I think
Julian,
it's a two-man race.
McCowan. I think if McCowan runs the whole thing, he'll be ahead of Jake Timm too.
what if Dalton Wilson runs World of
No.
Outlaws?
Well, that changes the math because he's a rookie by that standard, but he's not really a rookie in a touring series sense. But that is how that works. So if that happens, I'll change my mind. But then Jake just finishes second, and it's a close loss.
We'll remember that.
uh, no, I'm excited. It's someone I've obviously seen race an absolute ton. So yes, there's a huge homer pull to that. But if I wanted to get all nerdy on it, I do think him running USMTS last year was a good building block into being prepared for a touring series. And I think being on the road with Soren, or I don't know that I shouldn't make any assumptions that they're traveling together. I just do know that there's some connection there, and there's potentially some help there. And so like to the extent there's any help or mentorship going on there, I think he'll benefit from that, having a familiar face on the road at some tracks maybe he's never been to, and just doesn't start off in left field. That's my hope. I could be off in left field with my own assumptions on that, but that's what I think, and I think he'll run better than you two expect him to.
Oh, I think Ethan Dotson will benefit from actually running a late model like the whole last year and winning against national drivers. So I think that will be
I,
more beneficial than Jake Timm's USMTS racing.
I
So
just, I just think,
Hey, I mean, the success of the USMTS guys is pretty good. So,
but I
I
just think
mean,
Dotson has too much recent experience in a late model. I mean, he's traveled a lot over the past few years in a late model. He's won in a late model against some pretty good fields. I think you're gonna have an edge to Dotson. That's why you give an edge to Dotson. I think Jake Timm's obviously very talented, and I mean, but Dotson just has a lot of experience running late models and traveling around. He ran well at the Wild West Shootout in a late
yeah.
model.
No,
Um,
I know.
and
I know.
then,
And
but
it,
I mean, if anything, you do have one hell of a USMTS field in the World of Outlaws with Gustin, Sorensen, and Timm. So
yeah,
and
I think
Dillard.
Hisselback ran some too, Dillard as well. I mean, there's a bunch of them. Our buddy Brad, I think he rattled off somewhere close to 9 that either have um full-time or considerable appearances being noteworthy. So yeah, USMTS contingent is very deep in the World of Outlaws. Um to your point, yes, Ethan Dotson, I think, has proven to be quite the menace in in a super late model. I'm going to ride with my guys, and I'll acknowledge that it's a bit of a homer pick. But when it happens, just I want it to be on record that I told you so.
Is this an IMCA driver versus a USRA slash
USFA. Yeah.
USMTS driver?
I should have ended with that. And either way, we win because either way, it's someone with considerable mod experience making the step up and proving to be fast and good. So in
It's
either event,
hilarious. I
us.
completely forgot that Ethan Dotson was a massive IMCA modified guy.
Yep, yep, yep. So, but anyway, I think with that, we should probably get around to Carter.
The one for the road, which
Yes, sir.
I will start with. I couldn't find anything newsworthy or anything to talk about, but I did get this trophy, which is from Luxy Raceway, and it is Benji Lacrosse's, who's my cousin, fourth place in points trophy. So I got that going. It is now my third racing trophy that I have gathered. So
Okay.
I'm glad you clarified that it was your cousin Benji Lacrosse's trophy. Like you just didn't like swipe
yes,
it.
I do know him. My mom asked him if he's like, "Do you want this trophy?" And he was like, "No, you can just give it to Carter." And then my mom came home from the banquet and gave me the trophy. So
So you weren't even there to accept it on his behalf? You just
no, I wasn't. I was
It
watching the
was
Chili Bowl.
Kansas.
This was on Saturday. I was watching
He
the
was
Chili
watching
Bowl.
the Chili Bowl.
Yeah, come on.
oh god.
That Carter said he was
I missed
dedicated
the
to the Chili Bowl
trophy.
more
I
than
wasn't
anything.
even there to
Also,
accept it.
I did technically, I believe I won the My Race Pass Fantasy at Luxembourg, so I'll just count that as my trophy. So
Fourth place. Good job.
he missed tonight, by the way.
That's
Benji would have won the points if he
awesome.
didn't miss tonight.
Uh,
He was
oh,
busy at
just
the big
like
he was busy at the big deal. That's where he was when he missed tonight.
just like you and the IMCA Winter Nationals, my
Exactly.
race pass. Uh, all right. Well, I think I'll go next with my one for the road. I saw earlier today that Todd Staley and the USRA had made mention that they're going to bring back the USRA Ironman Stock Car Series, and they released a schedule and some payout information. From what I could tell, 24 dates, 4 states, primarily in Iowa, and it looks like they're going to start out in
Missouri too.
Missouri.
There's a lot
Yeah,
of Missouri on there.
yeah, and then I think one day in Kansas and one day in Minnesota at Deer Creek. Um, but otherwise, it's primarily kind of Iowa and Missouri based. I saw 14 different tracks. So between the 14 days, it looks like they're hitting up most tracks once or twice. Some long weekends. Most of the payout was 1,200 to win. Then there were some long weekends and memorial shows that were 3K or 2.5K to win. But just thought it was kind of interesting. Again, to reference our buddy Brad, he had mentioned when this one was around back kind of in the day. I don't know. I think he said a decade or so ago. They
2010s, I
pulled,
think he said, like
you
early
know,
2010 or maybe 2010 exactly.
okay. So about 15-ish years ago, he said they did pull quite a bit of cars and did put on a pretty good show. So looking at what I could gather from the schedule, it looks like they're going to run a lot in conjunction with USMTS is what I got out of it. And then they may or may not potentially link up with some of those other satellite USRA modified series like the Heartland or Northern Lights. But I can't be for sure. It may mostly just be a USMTS link up,
Two
but
Minnesota
yeah, I
dates,
thought that
by
was
the
neat
way. Fairmont
too.
was the other one.
Oh, that's right. I missed. Yeah, Fairmont is on there, and I know they're running that with USMTS. I'm pretty positive I made that connection. So anyway, I thought that was kind of cool. Now, when you go to a USMTS show, you might get 2 for 1. So also kind of a good deal because when Kyle Strickler wins Rookie of the Year and national title and everything else for USMTS, I'm going to be in a lot of those shows. So good for me to know.
Hopefully, Josh Kane didn't sell his stock car because he said he wanted to run USMTS modified stuff this year, and maybe
Yeah,
he'll have a stacker, and you can just put the stock car in there too and sweep both series.
It's five
right
thousand
on.
dollars to win the points for the stock car series too.
Hmm.
So
And potentially more. They had mentioned that was kind of the bare minimum, and depending on what they can put together for marketing partners and other things for the series, that may go up. But as a bare minimum, 5K to win the series points, so that's pretty neat too. Yeah. But with that, Julian, I think you're going to take us home.
Yeah, my one for the road is a little bit of an oddball one, but I came across this during the week. So I'm also a drag racing guy. I didn't wear this for this purpose, but I'm wearing an NHRA event shirt here from Charlotte. And so I came across this story. Summer Richardson. She is a top alcohol dragster, a fuel driver, and she's sponsored by this streaming kind of subscription site, rhymes with Lonely Lambs.
Oh
Um,
yeah, 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 yeah.
and
OF.
yeah, and so it was her NHRA informed her that she could not use that sponsor this year, last week, and so I think the season starts February, March, or something like that. So
Hmm.
she doesn't have any kind of other backing, so she can't run the season. So I thought that was kind of. I
Hmm.
love NHRA and I love drag racing, but I don't know, it's kind of lame that she can't run the season because she can't use her sponsorship.
Yeah, that is a bit of a bummer. Puritan interest type stuff. Um, but that is a. I mean, it's a company. It's used for
Well,
lots of
that
stuff.
the
Anyway,
same
I don't want to
company
get
was
myself
on
in hot water in any way here, but like I just don't get it. A sponsor's a sponsor, and it keeps a racer on the road. Like,
the same company was on a car at the Tulsa shootout, if you remember.
yeah, they didn't have any problems on them running. They even had a coat on the side.
That's like a kids
They
event.
hey they they even had an interview about with that drive. I cannot remember his name. I remember reading it on his Facebook, but they had
Yeah,
it on
it's okay.
Flow and everything. So
Yeah. Yeah,
uh,
I don't know. I guess we're more open-minded than those.
I mean, we're a
Uh,
podcast about dirt modifieds, so we're obviously open
yeah.
minded.
I meant just the dirt racing world in general. Tulsa Shootout didn't have no problem with it, but snooty top alcohol fuel modified drive drags the cars, drag cars.
God, I watch track racing.
Street
Speaking of
outlaws are nothing.
speaking of sponsors, I just found it funny. At the Chili Bowl, Brenham Crouch had I believe a whiskey sponsor, and he's not even old enough to drink his sponsor's drink. He's
Yeah.
19. I just thought that was funny. I just remember that
Hey,
now.
all right. Well, let's speaking of sponsors, let's end it with this. We, the Dirt Info podcast, actually signed on with Ashley Merriworth Racing to be on her Wissota Midwest Modified for the 2025 season. So I'm actually pretty excited about that. Um, I've seen Ashley race a bunch. I've seen her for a while. I actually think one of the first times when I started going back to the racetrack with my buddy Joel handful of years ago. I saw Ashley kick the absolute crap out of a whole field of Midwest modifieds at Cedar Lake. I think for like one of their opener races, or it could have just been a weekly race. I don't remember. It has always stuck out in my head that when I was one of those races I was there, she just put it on them, and I've always kind of been a fan of her since. So when I saw that she was adding some marketing partners, um, I jumped in and saw if we could make something work, and we were able to, and we're gonna jump on the car, and that car is gonna be at the big deal, and so I don't know. It's exciting for me. It's exciting for us as a show. I'm super excited about it. I'm hopeful that we might be able to partner up with Ashley and find some ways to do some fun content or have her on the show. I don't know. Nothing's in stone, but we're I think all parties are excited to find out fun ways to kind of to have some fun this season with that. So with that, I think we'll go ahead and wrap up the show. Did anyone else have anything else to say or that they wanted to add? Yes, sir.
Yeah, might want to like, subscribe, leave a comment. Always forget to say this at the beginning, but yeah. So we're obviously on Spotify, Facebook,
Apple.
uh, Apple now. Yeah, we're also on Apple, on YouTube. So um, I think all of them are audio and video, except Apple, which is audio only, as far as I know. So if you enjoy or didn't enjoy, you can still leave a comment. But yeah, that's all.
Yeah.
See ya.